by Moran on the first for the putout, and that is how we begin the ball game.
J.J. Moran showing great range on that ground ball. Looked to be perhaps between the 5 and 6 hole, but ranging quickly to his left. Moran scooped it up and the crossbody throw in time.
I'll give you the defensive alignment for Stanford. A few freshmen getting the start tonight. As in left field, you have Brock Sell. Center field, you have Court McDonald. He's an upperclassman. You have Tatum Marsh out in right field. The infield, Charlie Bates at shortstop. J.J. Moran at third. Eric Gian at second base. Rintaro Sasaki playing first. And freshman catcher Nolan Stoll getting the start behind the dish tonight. There comes Ben Cleary. Down in the count at 0-2. So Heron looking pretty good to begin things here. And Ben Cleary, a very dangerous hitter. 5th best in the West Coast Conference, hitting .372 coming into this game. He also find his way on base a lot as well. He is 3rd in the West Coast, an on-base percentage at .463. It's a fly ball out to right field, but it's going to be playable for Marsh. Backtracks for out number 2.
You mentioned that wind, and it's a good breeze. Those who've come to Sunken Diamond for years, Philip, know that mid-April through May, you often get a bit of a jet stream to left field. This is more of a swirling wind, and it might have cut down that drive by Cleary. It was called down about a couple steps short of the warning track. Good poke.
Yeah, it could play a factor tonight. Here's Max Ross, the designated hitter. So that ball one. Max Ross is one of the top overall offensive players in Santa Clara's lineup. Comes into tonight's 2nd in the West Coast Conference in doubles on the year with 12. Foul tips at the 2nd pitch from O'Haron. Trying to put together a 1-2-3 inning. A 1-1. Just a little bit off the plate there. Count to 2 balls and 1 strike. Max Ross has also played in every game this year and has started in every game this year for the Broncos. Ground ball bounced to short. Bates plays back on it, but throws a strike to Sasaki to retire the side. 3 up, 3 down goes Santa Clara to begin the evening here at Sunken Diamond. Stanford will get their ups as you are tuned in to Wednesday Night Baseball here on the ACC Network Extra. Back here at Sunken Diamond, getting ready for the bottom of the first. Stanford coming up to the plate as the lineup, business as usual for David Esker with a few changes made. As we'll have Rintaro Sasaki at the top of the order playing first base tonight. Teddy Tokheim, the hottest freshman right now in college baseball, is in the DH spot batting 2nd. Charlie Bates at shortstop bats 3rd. J.J. Moran, the hero from Sunday, in the cleanup spot playing 3rd. Eric Gian at second base batting 5th. Court McDonald in center field batting 6th. Tatum Marsh in right field batting 7th. Nolan Stoll getting the start at catcher, bats 8th. And Brock Sell rounds out the order, the freshman left fielder batting 9. And on the mound for Santa Clara, it will be Braden Dotoli. Braden Dotoli is 1-0 on the season in 14 and a 3rd innings pitched for the Broncos, but he's an experienced arm for Santa Clara's pitching staff. The senior looking to put together and help Santa Clara snap out of this 7-game losing streak.
For sure, young man from Roseville, California. Played his first couple of years at Sacramento City College. Came to Santa Clara, was injured 2 years ago, early on in the season. And trying to bounce back here and gets a midweek start.
He does have a .691 ERA coming into tonight, but the strikeout to walk ratio pretty balanced, 13 Ks and only 6 base on balls allowed, but he does tend to find himself in trouble. He's given up 4 home runs on the season. Talk about somebody that's known for hitting dingers. It will be the sophomore from Japan, Rentaro Sasaki, coming in with the team lead of 11 home runs on the season for the Cardinal. Not wasting any time. Fly ball down the left field line. Botel foul.
Rentaro, Philip, arguably had his best ever 3-game series for Stanford at Louisville. He was 5 for 12 with 4 runs scored, 6 RBIs, including a home run. So the man is in a bit of a groove in his sophomore season. Of course, came in last year as a freshman with a lot of expectations and a lot of Japanese media on hand, and navigated all of that. And I think he's settling down and just letting the natural talent take over.
Braden Doltoli having his hands full to begin the game, or begin his outing, I should say. Another foul ball hit by Sasaki. He's down 0-2.
The all-time high school leader in home runs in the country of Japan.
I mean, that's saying something, especially knowing whose record he had to break.
Yep.
To get that record to his name. Shohei Ohtani. But actually getting the start tonight down in LA in that Dodgers-Mets matchup.
Where everybody is wearing number 42 as it should be.
Absolutely.
Whoever thought up that idea nailed it.
Got a little story for you, John. Share that after this pitch. 1-2 pitch coming up to Sasaki. Popped up over near the Santa Clara dugout, but it will tail into the seats. Well, in my research, there was a video that actually popped up today where Harold Reynolds actually sat down with King Griffey Jr. And King Griffey Jr., believe it or not, was the one that actually encouraged the idea of everybody wearing 42 on April 15th, because he did it once in a game with the approval from then MLB Commissioner Bud Selig. And from Griffey Jr. to getting approval from Bud Selig, Selig actually had to get approval from Jackie Robinson's widow, Rachel Robinson, for everybody to wear 42.
Well, it makes a statement. The embrace of Jackie Robinson, again, the supreme athletic talent, but the character, the dignity, how he led on and off the field.
Two pitch on the way to Rentaro. Taken in. Count goes full.
First baseman and second baseman, Philip, are, what would you say, about 15 feet behind the cut of the infield grass?
Yeah, they are playing shallow right field at the moment. 3 men on the right side of the infield. Here's the payoff. Now it's hit hard over to second. Playing way deep in the hole is Walsh, but he's able to get the throw to first to retire Sasaki.
Of course, we know in the Major League Baseball, the shift is no longer allowed on the infield. There's that line where 2 have to be on one side and 2 have to be on another. I think that one should migrate to college. Good training for the young men before they go to Pro Bowl.
I mean, I think for any of these guys that do make it to the pros, they're going to be happy to not deal with the shift. And speaking of somebody that may need to get a shift put on him, is Teddy Tokheim, currently the hottest hitting freshman right now in college baseball, on a 15-game hitting streak coming into tonight. The 1-0 from Doltoli. Second for ball 2.
430 his batting average, 43 hits in 100 at-bats.
And also, not to mention, during this 15-game hitting streak, the freshman from Seattle, 32 for 64, batting at 500 flat. Hard ground ball to third, picked up by Sauce, throw across, no bounce needed to get Tokheim. Talk about a big out, as we'll give you the defensive alignment for Santa Clara. As in left field is Peyton Lambert. You have Andrew Raymond in center field. Luke Devine in right field. At shortstop, Ben Cleary, Camden Sauce at third base. Waylon Walsh at second base. Will Anderson playing first. And Johnny Lutzow behind the dish at catcher. Here comes Charlie Bates, hitting .274, coming into this one with 8 home runs on the season. Hit down the first base line, but picked up by Anderson. He'll step on the bag to end the inning. Well, Stanford go down 1-2-3 in the first inning. Nothing doing in the first frame here at Sunken Diamond as we move to the second, still scoreless. One fact to note about Jackie Robinson, he's the only player to have 2 plaques in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And when you go back to the league-wide retirement of his famous number 42, which you can say is the most iconic number in sports, Jackie Robinson's, the commemorative Jackie Robinson Day actually began in 2004, commissioned by then MLB Commissioner Bud Selig.
Jackie born in 1919, 2004 is the anniversary of the 85th year of his birth. Grew up in Pasadena, California, which is where I was born actually, and Jackie went to high school at Pasadena High School, which at the time was located about a mile from the Rose Bowl. So you think the Rose Bowl, you think of Pasadena, you think of UCLA and Jackie Robinson. Many threads one can think about when speaking of Jackie Robinson in the sports and American history contexts.
Absolutely. Johnny Lutzow coming up to lead off for the Broncos. Take ball 1, but Johnny Lutzow getting the start. .388 hitter, the senior catcher. .1-0, breaking ball thrown in by O'Haron, but just a little bit off. And also, what was really cool, John, is that last night for UCLA in their midweek matchup against UC Santa Barbara, they actually wore these throwback uniforms that was a replica from the days when Jackie Robinson was a student athlete at UCLA.
Playing for UCLA, just a great touch.
And guess what? Everybody wore 42.
Everybody wore 42.
The 2-1, hit over to short. Bates plays it on the bounce. A good throw over to first. We're out number 1.
Low pitchers early on, Phillip. Keeping the ball down, as the cliche goes. 6 of the 7 outs thus far in the game have been ground balls, successfully negotiated by the defense. Just 1 out that's a fly out. 7 up, 7 down collectively in the game so far.
And I think this was something that David Esker was really looking for, just knowing that the pitching staff has struggled for most of the season for Stanford, but this strategy of him starting an opener, has paid off in some ways.
Well, it has, certainly winning a series at Louisville.
Here comes Will Anderson. Oh, 1. Hits it right into the shift. There goes Charlie Bates again. He's been getting some work tonight.
A natural tail on that pitch from O'Haron, and Anderson rolled over on it. By that we mean pitch is outside, and ideally you want to go with the pitch, go to the field, the direction away from where you are in the batter's box, but he tried to pull it, and that resulted in the ground ball that Bates fielded on the second base side of second base.
Now they're going to go with the shift with 3 infielders this time playing towards the left with Luke Devine coming up here. And a miss on the first pitch for ball 1. Luke Devine, a .250 hitter with a home run and 16 RBIs on the season. But it's prone to strike out a little bit at the plate. Strikeout to walk ratio at 22-10 as a hitter.
76 official at bats, 22 strikeouts, so he strikes out a good percentage of the time.
O'Haron putting it in the zone there. Count goes to 2-1. So far, the 5 outs that O'Haron has recorded, 4 of them have came on groundouts. Ooh, doesn't get the call there. Count goes to 3-1. I mean, I wouldn't mind the shift ban being moved down to college, but when are we going to get the ball and strike challenge? O'Haron throws a strike in there. Count goes full.
When they get cost-effective technology. It is expensive to install that system.
O'Haron trying to win the duel. A swing and a miss as Devine hits nothing but the air as Torrin O'Haron retires 6 in a row to begin the evening. We're still scoreless here at Sunken Diamond. Here in the bottom of the second, as Santa Clara bringing out a new arm, as Rusty Filter will go to Robert Avazian. Robert Avazian will relieve Braden Dotoli, who in this case was Santa Clara's opener for the evening. And Avazian hoping to keep Stanford at bay. Still a scoreless game, as you know, still pretty early here at Sunken Diamond, but pitcher out of Martinez, California, and the transfer from Cal looking to put together a solid outing in his appearance.
Yeah, for sure. Robert Avazian, a 6'3", 180-pound redshirt junior, College Park High School. That's a pretty fair program over there in the East Bay. And he'll get his inning or more of work in, beginning with this bottom of the second.
Leading off is the hero from Sunday for Stanford, is J.J. Moran, who hit the big 3-run home run to take down Louisville on the road back on Sunday. The ball went 453 feet off of the bat for Moran's 6th homer on the year. Going to take ball 1 from Avazian. Now the Santa Clara infield with the 3-man shift on the left side. The power hitting third baseman out of San Diego.
Can't remember a game where I've seen more shifts. It's not such a high percentage of hitters. And I've been coming to this Sunken Diamond for 40+ years.
The 2-0. In for strike 1. And, you know, to touch on Santa Clara, them also being an historic program themselves, you know, there's a bit of a Jackie Robinson tie-in with them. And it came in 1962 when they made their first and still their only run to the College World Series. Moran looks at ball 3. And they were the Cinderella team that year, where they ended up facing Michigan in the final, and the championship game went 15 innings. Unfortunately for the Broncos, they fell to the Wolverines in that 15-inning matchup. So Moran works the walk to lead off the bottom of the second. But here's why there's some significance here, John. Because on the other side, in the opposing dugout, then Michigan head coach Don Lund, he was actually a player in the Brooklyn Dodgers organization back in 1947, and he had a front row seat witnessing Jackie Robinson break the color barrier, and was teammates with him in Brooklyn for 2 seasons.
That's a cool story. Of course, Pee Wee Reese, close with Jackie, as on-field teammates.
Here comes Eric Gian. And even though Don Lund, he was mainly up and down in the Dodgers organization, you know, when it was decided that Jackie Robinson was going to get his contract purchased, as Gian hitting a fly ball down the left field line, but it's going to go just left of the foul pole. Foul ball.
He torched that one, Philip. That one went over the oak trees, left of the left field foul pole. That was a towering shot. I'm guessing that was 410, 420 maybe. We don't have the number. We don't have a stat cast for this, but that was a long foul.
And Gian got a hold of that one. You talk about a guy that's been playing his way into the starting lineup. He's been filling in the role well with the absence of Jimmy Nadai, who's been out due to injury.
Yeah, and a capable backup. This transfer from Columbia University. Speaking of Jackie Robinson, this is a young man who played in the boroughs of New York City.
Yep. A little crossover. I should know. Like, I was out in New York as a college student to know the bridges, but you know, the city with a lot of bridges, New York.
Upper Manhattan, the uppermost tip of Manhattan.
You either cross the Queensboro or, I mean, I always wanted to take the subway, so no need for a car. 1-2 the count on Gian. Not a big lead at first by Moran. Time will be called by home plate umpire Jason Vinzun. The only time that the Broncos infield right now are playing without a shift. Vazian go to first on the pickoff.
Well, what's interesting here, Santa Clara is just dismissing the possibility of a bunt. Gian could push one up the first base line. There's no way the second baseman, I think, could beat Gian. Second baseman's over near second base right now.
1-2 home, hit foul.
It's Jackie Robinson's position, of course, second base when he was in the major leagues. Waylon Walsh, 6'4", tallest second baseman I can remember watching. Danny Ainge played for the Toronto Blue Jays before he became a Boston Celtic. That's another Jackie Robinson type, far less noted, although noted professional athlete, but played second base for Toronto Blue Jays in the early 80s before he went to the NBA.
And multi-sport athlete. Don't see a lot of that these days. And they're going to say Gian went around on the swing. He will go down on strikes, but Moran took off on the pitch, will advance to second. But going back to that story about when Jackie Robinson had his contract purchased from Brooklyn's then AAA affiliate, the Montreal Royals, he was put on the opening day roster with two fellow rookies. It was Robinson, Don Lund, mentioned the Michigan head coach that coached against Santa Clara in the '62 College World Series, and Spider Jorgensen. So you could kind of tell who had the most attention going into that debut.
Well, needed extraordinary strength, emotional strength. And baseball's hard enough with all the other stuff, and he did handle all of it.
Absolutely. Here comes Court McDonald. Looks at the 1-0 pitch. Count now goes to 2-0. For McDonald, hitting .386 and only a handful of games played. This is his 23rd appearance and his 15th start on the year, but does have a couple of home runs to his name. Vazian down 3-0, so see if McDonald can get the green light here with Moran in scoring position, hopefully to get Stanford on the board first.
McDonald went 5 for 11 in the series at Louisville.
Takes all the way. Pitch runs inside for ball 4. There's runners at first and second with Tatum Marsh coming up. And mentioning how, maybe I didn't mention this, but in 1997, that's when it was the league-wide retirement of number 42 for Jackie Robinson, where all 30 teams in Major League Baseball would retire his number. of course, commissioned by Bud Selig. But at the time when that happened, there were still 13 active players that still wore the number 42. There's a double steal on. They're going to go to third. Lutzau's throw is late. Moran gets in. So now both of the Cardinal runners are in scoring position.
Yeah, great jumps by both Stanford runners. So with one out, some options for David Esker here. And for Marsh, a chance in what has been a struggle of a sophomore season to pick up a runner more at the plate.
1-0. Missed for ball 2. Tatum Marsh, sophomore from San Jose out of Valley Christian High School, big powerhouse down in the South Bay. Avazian struggling to find a strike zone here.
Using some breaking stuff on Marsh and not able to catch that outside corner.
It's the 3-0. Marsh taking all the way, but it's in for a strike. Marsh able to lay off and will get the free pass to load the bases. So it's been a struggle so far for Robert Avazian coming out of the bullpen. You know, not really something that Rusty Filter was hoping to see.
Now, the walks, Avazian came into the game having thrown just 3 innings on the season and 8 walks in those 3 innings, and he's obviously added to that total here in the bottom of the second at Stanford.
But he's going to see freshman catcher Nolan Stoll in a huge spot here to get the Cardinal up early against the Broncos. He lays off ball 1.
Some action in the Santa Clara bullpen as we speak.
1-0 taken all the way. Avazian missing again. Goes with a fastball for strike 1. Nolan Stoll in 14 games, 278 hitter, a couple of RBIs to his name. Is it hard to first? Anderson able to pick it up. He'll step on the bag, but it's enough for Moran to score. So easy station-to-station baseball to give Stanford the 1-0 lead.
Nolan Stoll gets the RBI.
RBI number 3 for the freshman as Broxell, another freshman, the 9-hitter, takes ball 1.
Indeed, the 3rd RBI for Stoll.
Sell looks at strike 1. Right now he's at 189 in the times that he has played, which is now 22 games appeared. So we're trying to get over the Mendoza line. Avazian trying to work up and down. In this inning, he's throwing more balls than he has strikes. The 2-1. Big hack, but goes straight foul.
Broxell began the year as a starter, but got off to that rough start, just not able to get base hits. 7 for 37 at the plate for the season. Gets to start tonight. See if he can break out of that.
Thought about it, but laid off. It's a full count now. Rentaro Sasaki waiting on deck. Avazian able to get the big out. But Stanford able to get one across, no hit needed. But they do have the 1-0 lead as we go into the third. As we'll take a quick break from Sunken Diamond. You're tuned in to Wednesday Night Baseball here on the ACC Network Extra on Jackie Robinson Day. Top of the third, Stanford able to get the 1-0 lead, getting a run across in the bottom half of the second. As there is a change on the mound, Sam Garwal will come into the game, but going to hand it over to John Platts to take us through the third and the fourth inning.
Philip, thank you very much. And indeed, Sam Garwal is the second Stanford pitcher of the evening. Garwal, a 6'5" junior from San Diego. This will be his 10th appearance of the season. 10.34 earned run average, so it's been a bit of a struggle for the upperclassmen. 15 2/3 innings pitched, walked 7, struck out 21, but it's the contact that he's allowed. 23 hits allowed in those 15 plus innings, and he's also surrendered 4 home runs, so a chance for Garwal to get some work in and ideally get a rhythm and put 0 or zeros on the board, depending on how many innings he is deployed by Coach David Esker. For Santa Clara, in the top of the third, it'll be 7, 8, and 9 in the order. Waylon Walsh, the second baseman, then Camden Sauce and Andrew Raymond, the scheduled hitters. Waylon Walsh, a freshman from Los Gatos, went to Mitty High School, which is another of the West Catholic Athletic League powerhouses. Left on left here, Garwal into the windup, and his pitch to Walsh is over for a strike. West Catholic Athletic League has Valley Christian, as Philip talked about earlier, Bellarmine, St. Francis, Mitty, Sarah High School in San Mateo, and then 3 schools up in the city. 1-0 pitch, fastball blew it right past Waylon Walsh. St. Ignatius, Reardon, and Sacred Heart Cathedral, rounding out that 8-team WCL, as the locals call it. Garwal ahead of Walsh here. 0-2, and here it comes. Fastball up and in. Count 1-2. Walsh, 232 on the season, 2 home runs, 19 RBIs. This is his 20th start of the season, 25th game for the Broncos. And tall second baseman, hits from the left side. Garwal's 1-2 offering, bounced in front of the plate. Smothered there by the catcher Stoll. Count even up at 2-2.
And with Garwal, that over-the-top delivery, especially with the fastball, getting it between 94 and 96, that's going to be some tough heat for the left-handed hitters.
Well, from the stretch, pitch on the way is chopped foul over toward the Stanford dugout. It might have been ball 3. That fastball running inside on the left-handed hitting Walsh. Of course, lanky young man. Sometimes those tall guys have long swings and you can jam them. Count remains 2-2. Top of the third inning. Nobody on, nobody out. Breaking ball over for a strike. As Garwal retires Walsh. That breaking ball broke late. Very effective pitch. That's the second strikeout for Cardinal pitching on the evening. 7 up, 7 down so far for Santa Clara. And that number 8 hitter is at the plate now, Camden Sauce.
And Sam Garwal looking to continue the streak of retired hitters that Torrin O'Haron left with. So good job to be able to mix his stuff. The bottom of the order for the Broncos.
And Sauce from the right side, hitting just 143, takes a pitch that missed. Count of 1-0. Sauce 9 for 63 on the season, just his 15th start of the year. This is Santa Clara's 35th game. 1-0 pitch, fastball caught the outside corner, about belt high, and count even up at 1-1. Sauce from Alpine, California. That's a suburb of San Diego. So we've got timeout for the moment. Sauce asked for and received time. Went to Granite Hills High School, which one of Stanford's great players went to in the late 1980s. More on him in a moment. Pitch from Garwal, swung on and missed. Took something off that pitch and had Sauce waving at it out in front, count of 1-2. Frank Carey was the starting second baseman on Stanford's College World Series championship teams in 1987 and 1988 that I had the privilege of calling. Also a graduate of Granite Hills High School. Pitch to Sauce is lifted foul and out of play into the trees behind the right field stands. Count stays at 1-2.
See Garwell, he's throwing some pretty good pitches in this at bat. I like what he did in the pitch before, trying to continue to go off speed, mix his stuff together.
Changing hitters' plane of vision. The 1-2 offering bounces in front of the plate. Ricochets off the shin protector. The catcher Nolan Stoll. Count 2-2. Top of the third inning here at Sunken Diamond. 1-0. Cardinal leading it. Cardinal got a run in the bottom of the second on a ground out. Sam Garwal with the 2-2 pitch now is cued over to first base, over to Sasaki. He'll have to underhand to Garwal, who gets to the bag. A couple of steps ahead of the base runner, would-be base runner Sauce, and that play will go 3-1. Stanford continues its perfect pitching so far. 8 up, 8 down now as we reach the 9th hitter in the order for Santa Clara in this top of the third inning. That's Andrew Raymond, the center fielder. Raymond, a sophomore from Spokane, Washington, hitting .235, 16 hits and 68 at bats. Batting from the left side. Santa Clara has just 3 position players who bat left, and they are all in this game. Garwal's first pitch is lifted into the air, foul territory. Moran is coming over and can't quite get there. He slid right near the Santa Clara dugout. Stoll was also there. I thought Stoll actually, Philip, might have had a better angle on it, but of course catcher's mitt, and catchers want to get solidly under that ball and try and stab at it with that big catcher's mitt. You might not catch it. So
yeah, it was going to be a tough play to make, but I thought Stoll had the better look. This was how it was, and with Moran coming all the way from third, making that long run, it was going to be a tough play for him to make. But, you know, rookie mistake, you know, you can put on Stoll, but usually you would want the catcher to make a play in that situation.
The 0-1 pitch is popped up again. This one near the Santa Clara dugout. Looks like it's going to peel out of play. And it did. So another high twisting foul strike, and the count is 0-2. Stanford one strike away from retiring the first 9 hitters of this ball game.
David Esker is going to think like, wait, this is new.
Garwal ahead 0-2. And it was Wine, and the pitch on the way is grounded right back to Garwal. Takes a couple of steps, tosses over to Sasaki, and that will do it for Santa Clara in the top of the third inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, no runners left on base after 2.5 at Sunken Diamond on a beautiful and somewhat chilly, slightly chilly Wednesday evening. Our score, Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing on the ACC Network Extra. Welcome back to Sunken Diamond. John Platts along with Philip Hall. Stanford and Santa Clara, 1-0 Cardinal going to the bottom of the third inning. For Stanford, it'll be 1, 2, 3 in the order. Sasaki, Tokheim, and Charlie Bates on this April 15th, which is tax day, but I think even more fondly remembered is Jackie Robinson Day, the Hall of Famer, Brooklyn Dodger. Great all-around athlete at UCLA, for whom Jackie Robinson Day is now known. All major league players today wearing number 42, as they do every year on April 15th. Taro Sasaki to lead things off at the Cardinal in the bottom of the third, grounded the second his first time up. Andrew Haberman, the new pitcher for Santa Clara, a tall young man, 6'6", sophomore from Westlake Village, California. He's a reliever last year, 16 relief appearances a year ago, 4.85 earned run average. Right-hander. This pitch to Sasaki is lifted high in the air along the right field line, medium depth. The second baseman, Walsh, coming over, and a step into foul territory, makes the catch. That was a moonshot from Sasaki, but it, on the scorebook, is a foul out. The second baseman, F4.
It's funny that you would call it that, because literally the infield was playing to the edge of the right field grass on that play, and you know, you would think, like, usually on a play like that, the right fielder would just come in, but that trademark Sasaki shift works every time on defense.
First pitch to Teddy Tokheim, missed, or rather was over for a strike, 0-1. Andrew Haberman working quickly, and his 0-1 pitch to Tokheim swung on and missed. It's a bit of an off-speed pitch from Haberman to Teddy Tokheim, whose uncle, David Tokheim, played for UCLA, continuing the Jackie Robinson theme. David Tokheim played for the Bruins in the early 90s. Pitch on the way, over for a strike, and that's something we haven't seen much this year at all, as Tokheim rung up. She's hitting .430 coming into the game this season. It was the 17th strikeout, however, that Tokheim has been retired.
And just didn't really look like himself there. You know, and really the Stanford lineup haven't really been able to find an answer in regards to trying to put the ball in play.
Andrew Haberman's first pitch to Charlie Bates. Missed for ball one. Bates, left-handed hitter. Bates grounded to first base in the top of the first inning. Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing. We're in the bottom of the third inning. Pitch is grounded into the hole and into right field, base hit for Charlie Bates. As a hit recorded in this baseball game, Charlie Bates does the honors. 2-out single for Stanford here in the bottom of the third inning.
It only just takes one to kind of get the momentum going. But Charlie Bates, you know, not hitting the ball too hard, but able to hit the ball hard enough to where it was going to be a tough play for Walsh to cut across there to pick it up on the ground. But like for Stanford, this is the time where they can really, you know, start to move some traffic over on the base paths.
JJ Moran, who walked and scored, came around to score on the ground out by Stoll in the second inning. He scored the only run of the game thus far. First pitch from Haberman is over for a strike. Pitch over at the knees. Haberman looks like he's got a nice mix of stuff there. And of course, at 6'6", lanky, that gives hitters a lot to deal with. JJ Moran, the sophomore from San Diego. Now throw over to first, and Bates dives back safely. Charlie Bates 4 steals in 6 attempts this year. We'll see if he's going with 2 outs. Moran hitting .293 as he stands at the plate. 6 home runs, 27 RBI. Base goes. Pitch is popped up behind second base. The shortstop Cleary going over, and he makes the catch about 3 steps behind the cut of the infield and about 15 feet to the right of second base. So Moran pops out, and that's it for the Cardinal. In the third for Stanford, no runs, a hit, no errors, 1 left. After 3 at Sunken Diamond, our score, Stanford 1 and Santa Clara nothing on ACC Network Extra. To the top of the fourth at Sunken Diamond, Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing. John Platts along with Philip Hall. Philip and I will be doing the next Stanford game as well when Stanford returns to ACC play. That'll be Friday. The Miami Hurricanes come to Sunken Diamond. New pitcher for Stanford, the Colt Peterson, a freshman from Orange Lutheran High School in Orange County, Southern California. Peterson on the season has a record of 2-1. This is his 13th appearance. He's worked 15 2/3 innings. Has an ERA of 6.32. He'll face the top of the order for the Broncos, Lambert, Cleary, and Ross. Santa Clara has yet to get a base runner in the game. 9 up, 9 down thus far by the 2 Stanford prior pitchers, Taryn O'Haron and Sam Garwal. Now it's Colt Peterson, right-hander. First pitch is over for a strike. Count of 0-1. Lambert grounded to third his first time up. Lambert, a junior from Pendleton, Oregon. 286 beginning tonight's play. No home runs, 4 RBIs for this right-handed hitting junior. Peterson's pitch on the outside corner for strike 2, so good control. First couple pitches from the freshman Peterson. Lambert in a hole, 0-2.
I think even for David Esker, it seems like he's probably going a pitcher per inning, so everybody in the Stanford bullpen
Gonna get some work.
Yep. Just be ready when the phone rings.
The 0-2 pitch is chopped to third, backhanded by Moran. Throw to first on a bounce, but in time. As for the second time in this game, Peyton Lambert grounds out to third. One up, one down for Santa Clara. Top of the 4th inning.
South play. We're at the hot corner by Moran. Not rushing the throw. Able to keep it on line even with the bounce.
That's what infielders sometimes do, particularly when they are deep in the infield making that throw. Ben Cleary, the hitter now, the junior from Sarah High School, speaking of the West Catholic Athletic League, came into the game hitting .372 for the Broncos. First time up, fly to right. First pitch is over for a strike on the inside corner from Colt Peterson. Count of 0-1.
Even for Santa Clara, this year's been kind of a struggle. Second to last in the West Coast Conference right now, but the WCC has actually been very surprising when you think about the table. Like right now, Gonzaga and San Francisco in the tie for first coming in to this week. And even St. Mary's, fellow Bay Area school at 8-4 and third, just a game out from both the Bulldogs and the Dons.
Gale swept the Broncos this past weekend in Santa Clara. 1-1 pitch is fouled out of play over toward the berm along the right side beyond the Stanford dugout. Berm is where the grassy knoll where fans can take in a game. There's also one on the left side of the diamond. 1-2 the count to Ben Cleary, the shortstop for Santa Clara. 1-0 Stanford. We're in the top of the 4th inning in this midweek matchup. Peterson from the stretch. Pitch is on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. Pretty pitch as Peterson paints the corner and gets Ben Cleary, who is the leading hitter by average on the Santa Clara team. 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. 3rd strikeout recorded by the collective trio of Stanford pitchers this evening thus far.
Pearson went inside with the fastball there on Cleary, and Cleary's a solid contact hitter, so just didn't really get the look he wanted, but you see Stanford just carving through the Broncos right now.
Max Ross, the hitter, number 3 hitter in the order. He bounced to shortstop his first time up in the top of the 1st inning. Another of the West Catholic Athletic League guys. Ross from Woodside, California, attended St. Francis.
Just a few minutes on the freeway. Woodside.
Pitch from Peterson up and away, and the count 2-0 now. Of course, notable Santa Clara and Stanford alums from that school. John Gall, former major leaguer with the St. Louis Cardinals, was a great player for Stanford in the late 90s. And Jeff DeBono, mid-80s player for Santa Clara, attended St. Francis, which is in Mountain View, just south of Palo Alto. 2-0 pitch missed, so it's 3-0 now to Max Ross, whom Philip mentioned is the only player on the Santa Clara team that's played in and started all 35 games this year. 3-0 pitch taken, and it's over for a strike. Count of 3-1 to Max Ross.
I think also big shout out in between innings when we had Russ Wharton wishing him a 96th birthday, was on the 1948 Stanford baseball team.
As more on that in a minute, as Ross skies one to center field, medium depth, but under it is Colt McDonald, and he makes the catch. And Santa Clara, for the 4th time in 4 innings, is retired. 1-2-3. Nice inning for the freshman Colt Peterson, the Stanford pitcher. We played 3.5 here at Sunken Diamond in Stanford, California. Our score remains Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing on the ACC Network Extra. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. You're on a Wednesday evening. is Sunshine. The setting sun. We've got about 30 more minutes worth of sunshine here. Sunken Diamond. Our score, Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing. John Platz along with Philip Hall. The new pitcher for Santa Clara is Max Reimers. Reimers, the younger brother of Ben Reimers, who pitches for Stanford. So we've got a little brother-to-brother action in this battle of the El Camino Real, if you will, the street that borders the Stanford campus and the Santa Clara campus. Max Reimers, 5'11" freshman from Aliso Viejo, California, J. Sarah Catholic High School. That's in southern Orange County. Not as big a young man as his older brother, but nonetheless has had a distinguished amateur baseball career. Reimers has not pitched much in his freshman season, just 5 1/3 innings, has an 8.44 earned run average, 7 walks, 7 strikeouts though in that 5 1/3 innings pitched. Max Reimers is the third pitcher for the Broncos this evening.
Talk about a brother combo. You know, Stanford with a brother combo themselves, the Marsh brothers, Tatum and Quinn.
Yep. On the same team, that combo. But the Reimers, I believe I saw the father was wearing a Santa Clara sweatshirt and a Stanford baseball hat. So good job, Dad. For Stanford, 5, 6, 7 here in this bottom of the 4th inning. Eric Gion, Court McDonald, and Tatum Marsh, speaking of one of the Marsh siblings. Gion, the second baseman, struck out in the bottom of the second inning, I should say, but this transfer from Columbia has really distinguished himself. 342 batting average coming into the game. This pitch from Reimers is smashed foul out of play. Line drive just missed the light tower along the left side, adjacent to the Santa Clara bullpen.
That's only the second hardest hit ball off the bat of Gion I've seen, but not wasting any time there.
Gion, a junior from Fullerton in Orange County, La Mirada High School, is right-handed hitter. Reimers pitches and it bounces all the way back to the backstop. Count even up at 1-1.
Those that may not know, Eric Gion, he also has a brother himself playing in the ACC. Kevin is across the bay over at Cal.
Distinguished high school players. La Mirada High School, which is a pretty good program. Southern California. Max Reimer's pitch, breaking ball, again bounces past the catcher. Although it didn't miss by much, just the catcher didn't block it with no runners on base. Count of 2-1 now. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. 1-0 Stanford. Cardinals scored in the bottom of the 2nd. Loaded the bases on 3 walks, and then J.J. Moran scored when Nolan Stoll, the catcher tonight, bounced to first. 2-1 pitch now to Gion. That one is low and inside, and the count now 3-1. Stanford looking to get a base runner here to open the bottom of the 4th inning. Gion showing some socks, 7 home runs and 16 RBIs. Pitch is ripped foul past the third base coaching box and off the padded wall.
Give a lot of credit to Eric Gion because he's really had to play his way into the starting lineup. And David Esker, you know, whenever he thinks about Eric Gion, it's hard for him to put the pin down when, you know, he's filling out the starting lineup.
Reimer's 3-2 pitch is wrapped back up the middle and into center field for a base hit. So just the second hit of the game by either team. And second Cardinal hit, no hits thus far for Santa Clara. Gion is aboard, but nobody out. They're
able to get the textbook hit, you know, hit it right back up the middle. You know, of how many shifts have been put on by the Santa Clara infield. You know, they have not put a shift on Gion, and, you know, he made him pay.
Court McDonald now to the plate, the number 6 hitter in the order, walked and was stranded in the bottom of the second inning. Reimer's pitch to him is bunted toward third base. It's a good bunt, and the third baseman bobbles it, throws to first, not in time, scooped up by the first baseman there to avoid more trouble, but we'll see how they score it. I think it'll be a sacrifice and then an error, I believe, on the third baseman for Santa Clara, Camden Sauce. So McDonald gets credit for a sacrifice and is aboard on the error by the third baseman. Advancing to second is Gian, so something cooking for the Cardinal. 2 on, nobody out for Tatum Marsh, the number 7 hitter in the order. He also walked and was stranded in the second inning. He fouls one back to the screen on the pitch from Reimers, and the count 0-1.
And that sac bunt by Court McDonald, it's going to go either way. It didn't matter how they were going to score it, but he was able to do a job and just got it up there by Camden Sauce at third. But credit at the corner by Will Anderson to prevent that ball from going behind the bag.
Pitch bounces, runners are going. Throw is going to go to second base, and it's going to be in time. An interesting play there, Philip, as the runners were off and running. The pitch bounced, but a nice block by the catcher, Lutzo, and he threw to second base, and they caught Court McDonald by a good couple of steps.
A close play, but risky throw by Lutzow to choose to go to second and not third to get the lead runner.
So 1 out now, runner at third, and Marsh at the plate with a count 1-1. Reimers from the stretch, pitch on the way, swung on and missed. Breaking ball from Reimers, successfully eluding the bat of Tatum Marsh, who had that fabulous freshman year last year, hit .377. And it's just been a struggle this year for the sophomore from San Jose. .220 is average coming into the game, trying to get back on the right track. The 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3. Bounced, but the catcher scooped it and tagged out Marsh, and that is the second out of this bottom of the 4th inning.
Yeah, the sophomore slump continues for Tatum Marsh. Just got eaten up there on the off-speed pitch from Reimers, and just not really much you could do there. For Stanford, I'm sure they would love to get that additional run just waiting over at third.
Yeah, Cardinal leading at 1-0. Trying to double its lead here. The batter, Nolan Stoll, who has the lone RBI in this game. Ground out to first. Reimer's pitch is outside, and that one, a nice grab by the catcher. Lutzo. Stoll, right-handed hitter, freshman from Stevenson Ranch in Southern California. Right-handed hitter. Reimers' pitch, swung on and missed. Another effective breaking ball, Philip. The breaking ball from Reimers has been effective.
Yeah, he just continues to keep going with it. You haven't really seen the fastball come out of his hands yet.
Reimers sets at the belt. The 1-1 pitch is inside with a fastball. Count 2-1. Runner at third, 2 outs. Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0. Stanford in the 65th all-time matchup between Stanford and Santa Clara. Stanford leads the series, 44 wins to 20 against 20 losses. Reimers' pitch, check swing. Did he go? He did not go. Pitch was above the letters, and so the count goes to 3-1.
Boy, this is like a family kind of rivalry. Stanford, usually the big brother on this side of the bay of Santa Clara, even though they've had good runs. They've always been kind of, little brother to the Cardinal.
3-1 pitch is low with a breaking ball, and that will send Nolan Stoll to first base with a walk. That is the 4th walk issued by Santa Clara pitching this evening. I'll bring the number 9 hitter to the plate, Brock Sell. Pride of Stockton, California. Much decorated high school player from Tokay High School, the Stockton, greater Stockton area. Of course, St. Mary's is a school in Stockton, so is Stagg, where Mark Marquis was a high school football and baseball star, graduating with a class of 1965. The late Mark Marquis, we lost him in January 30th. For 41 years, the Stanford head coach led Stanford to its only 2 College World Series championships, coached 41 years, 14 College World Series appearances.
Yeah, the number 9 placed it proudly over on the right field wall, and even Santa Clara before the game in their warm-ups, they had these number 9 tops that they wore in honor of Mark Marquis.
Pitch on the way. Now the runner stole, wanted to get into a rundown, and the catcher wasn't biting, so he was just waiting there, Philip. And he said, okay, I'll go to second.
That was very confusing. Nolan Stoll took off on the pitch and stopped halfway between first and second on the steal attempt, even after the pitch got away from Lutzow. Probably the weirdest stolen base attempt I've ever seen on a baseball field.
That was interesting. Pitch to Broxell, dips away, count of 2-0 now. So Stanford has 2 runners in scoring position now if those can be cashed in. Broxell to plate from the left side. The right-handed pitcher Austin Reimers winds. That pitch bounces about 6 feet away from the catcher, not far enough for Gian to chance it.
Now it's going to be tough for him to try to go for the plate. Again, Jackie Robinson was famous for stealing home in the World Series that
yes,
1 year.
It's the Yankees, that's right.
The Yankees in '55, but I don't think Gian has the guts or the speed that Robinson has on the base pass.
I got that highlight burned in my mind. The argument, the catcher with the home plate umpire, Jackie just stole home. Pitch to Broxell. That one missed, and that will send Broxell to first base. So Stanford has loaded them up. We go back to the top of the order, and the dangerous Rintaro Sasaki. But before that, going to be a mound visit. Looks like Rusty Filter going to the mound, and we'll see if he takes the baseball, and he will take the baseball. I believe from Reimers he does. A little instruction there from the former Stanford pitching coach, now Santa Clara manager. So that will end the evening for Austin Reimers. 2/3 of an innings pitched. No runs allowed, but all 3 runners on base are his responsibility, and we will see who the new pitcher is. Philip, you may have a line on that, or we may get it from the public address announcer shortly.
I will say, for one thing, Rusty Filter and David Esker must have exchanged notes before the game, because they're going with much similar strategies and bringing out relievers each inning. From the looks of it, for Santa Clara, coming out is going to be
Jack Lazark, it looks like.
Yep, number 44, Jack Lazark.
Lazark is a junior from Santa Rosa. Attended Cardinal Newman High School there. His statistics this year, again, like Austin Reimers, not much work for the junior right-hander. He's pitched 6 1/3 innings, has an ERA of 14.21. Surrendered 10 earned runs, 12 hits, walked 4, struck out 3. So another opportunity for a young man who hasn't pitched a lot to get some experience here at a Power 4 conference foe, on the diamond of a Power Conference foe. Jack Lazark. Stanford has Rintaro Sasaki ready to hit and a chance to do some damage against the Broncos here. 1-0 Stanford. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning, 2 outs. Bases loaded for Stanford as Lazark continues his warm-up tosses. Gian is at third. Eric Gian is at third. Nolan Stoll is at second. Broxell is at first. Sasaki 0 for 2. He grounded out to second in the top of the, or the bottom of the 1st inning, I should say, and then fouled out to the second baseman in the third inning.
That's probably going to be the biggest spot that he'll get. Really, the biggest spot for Stanford with how the pace of this game has been going from the mound. You know, it's been a pitcher's duel on both sides.
Well, Stanford's #1 power guy, 10 home runs, 23 RBIs. We mentioned the torrid series he had at Louisville this past weekend. 5 for 12 with a home run, 6 RBIs in total, 4 runs scored. Taro Sasaki, 268 as he stands at the plate. Pitch from Lazark is a curveball, backdoored him, caught the outside corner, count of 0-1. Sasaki wears number 3. And just a threat to take you deep at any given at bat. Lazark from the stretch, deals, fastball. That caught the outside corner as well. That pitch was letter high, but caught the outside corner, and Sasaki in a hole, 0-2.
We know one thing about Sasaki, he's a very patient hitter. You know, doesn't try to, rush too much, try to jump on pitchers when he does.
Walked 28 times this year. Lazark from the stretch, kicks and deals, 0-2. That one wasted away in the count, 1-2. Outfield very deep for Sasaki, straight away. The right fielder Devine is, he's 5 steps in front of the warning track, way back there in right field. Lazark trying to get out of trouble here. First batter he has faced coming on in relief. Pitch on the way, breaking ball, just missed, backdooring him again. Lazark wanted that one, but the count now raised to 2-2.
He was close to getting it, but you can see the shift now is only a two men on the right side. So he got Waylon Walsh playing probably about 30 feet from where Devine is playing in right field.
Curveball on the outside corner, strike 3. So that backdoor breaking ball, more often than not, against Sasaki was successful for Jack Lazark. For Stanford, no runs. There was one Stanford hit, there was one Santa Clara error, and 3 Stanford runners left on base. The Cardinal has stranded 6 through 4 innings. When we return in the top of the 5th inning, it'll go back to Philip Hall on the mic. Before that, we'll take a break right here. Our score through 4 at Sunken Diamond on the campus of Stanford University. Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing on the ACC Network Extra. To the top of the 5th inning at Sunken Diamond, Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing. It is my pleasure to turn the microphone back over to a veteran of these airwaves, and enjoying as I am this Jackie Robinson day and evening across all levels of baseball, pro and otherwise. Here is Philip Hall.
Thank you, John. As we are now on the top of the 5th, Stanford still up 1-0 in what has been a pitcher's duel here on the farm tonight. As for Santa Clara, due up, it's 4, 5, and 6. Lutzow, Anderson, and Devine will hit in this inning. But got another Jackie Robinson fun fact. As mentioned earlier, the league-wide retirement of number 42 took place in 1997, but there were 13 active players still wearing number 42, and the last active player before he retired to wear the iconic number 42 was Mariano Rivera. Long-time New York Yankee, of course. The closer out there in the Bronx, all-time leader in saves.
And it had meaning for him to be the last guy to wear 42.
Ground ball to third. Moran has been busy over there at the hot corner. Throws a strike to Sasaki. But here's this, John. Well, Mariano Rivera, he was the last active player to wear 42, but the last African-American to wear 42 was Mo Vaughn.
Okay. Former Boston Red Sox player and briefly a California Angel.
Oh, yeah.
Mo Vaughn.
And Mo Vaughn, the Angels and the Mets, when he wore the number 42. Here's Will Anderson. He shows bunt, puts it down, but is fouled at the plate. I like to say about Mo Vaughn, he was like Big Poppy before Big Poppy in Boston during the 90s.
He was a feared hitter. He was. That's a good call.
Yeah, it just came to my mind just how fierce of a hitter he was with the Red Sox during the 90s, and then after he left to go to the Angels, and then when David Ortiz was pretty much came on the scene in Boston after he was cut by the Twins, just turned around.
The left-handed hitters: Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Fred Lynn, Mo Vaughn, David Ortiz. Red Sox have produced a bushel full of them.
1-1. Anderson grounded over to short. Bates playing the shift. There's 2 gone. I mean, I almost want to say that it's a ground ball to second base.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. No, I was impressed that your mind was so quick. You said, "Oh, that in the shift, that's the shortstop," because the play is 6-3.
Because usually, if there wasn't a shift, Eric Gian's making that play without any effort. But, that can really explain why Santa Clara have struggled at the plate tonight. Here's Luke Devine. Go look at ball 1. Of course, for Stanford, they do have one number 42 on the team. That's Christian Lim, the junior pitcher. And I feel like with David Esker, with how many arms he's gone through so far in the game, if Christian Lim comes out, I mean, that would just be perfect for the evening.
It would be.
The 1-1 from Peterson. Bounced to short. Bates. Oh, and the throw gets past Sasaki. And just like that, Santa Clara with their first base runner on the night.
That was just a routine grounder to short. I don't know if the spikes caught a little bit for Charlie Bates, but that will go as an E6, and so the perfect game is done. However, Santa Clara still is looking for its first hit.
And just a off throw made by Charlie Bates, who's usually a sure hand at shortstop. So the Broncos now with a base runner on. Here in the 5th inning, Waylon Walsh will step in. Waylon Walsh struck out looking his last time up. I handed the backwards K. Here's his 1-0, missed low for ball 2. In for a strike. Peterson went back to the fastball there.
Got the inside corner.
No shift on for Walsh. Infield and outfield playing him straight away. Ball swings and fouls it to the left. Lights starting to come into full effect here at Sunken Diamond as the sun continues to set. It's beyond the Pacific Ocean. The 2-2. Actually, instead, a move to first by Peterson. Checking on Devine. That's rare territory for the Cardinal pitchers tonight.
Devine looked like he was leaning a little bit. Still a 1-0 game. Although Santa Clara has yet to record his first hit.
Waylon Walsh takes a look, gets the count full. We're going to see who wins the duel here between Peterson and Walsh. Here comes the payoff. Round ball off the glove of Peterson. Gian picks it. Underhand toss in time. What a play by Eric Gian to get Stanford out of the inning.
That's going to go 1-4-3. The pitcher, McDonald, got the tip of his glove on it, and that redirected the ball into the hole at second base, so Gian had to run even further and faster, and he shoveled it, gloved it, and with the left hand just shoveled, didn't even bother with the exchange, and just did get Waylon Walsh, the left-handed runner who has some speed. So nice play by the Stanford defense to end the inning.
And to keep the Broncos still without a hit, we go to the bottom half of the fifth. The Cardinal lead 1-0. Jack Lazark still back out for Santa Clara. A 1-0 lead in the bottom of the fifth, halfway here at Sunken Diamond. As for Stanford, it'll be Teddy Tokheim, Charlie Bates, and J.J. Moran due up in the bottom half of the fifth. And with this being Jackie Robinson Day, we want to report on some out-of-town scores across the ACC as far as ACC representatives. Right now, across the Bay in Berkeley, San Jose State leading Cal 4-2 in the top of the fifth at Stu Gordon Stadium. And a few of the East Coast games went final already. Boston College took care of UConn 8-5. And you had Pitt routing over Akron at home 13-2. And South Florida taking care of Miami 4-2. So Miami dropping their midweek before they catch a flight here to the Bay for their weekend series against Stanford coming up.
And Stanford previous meetings with Miami in Omaha, Nebraska.
Teddy Tokheim swings and flies it out in the right center field. It's going to be caught by Luke Devine. So Teddy Tokheim having his 15-game hitting streak still in jeopardy. Charlie Bates was able to get one of the two hits recorded for Stanford. 1 for 2 on the game. Zark misses way out, goes to 2-0. No, this is more of like a home-and-home battle between Santa Clara and Stanford. Is next week, Stanford will go to Santa Clara to play the Broncos again. So a little bit light on the travel, especially with Stanford having to make an East Coast trip against Louisville last weekend.
Yeah, that's the idea, scheduling wise.
So 3-0 to Bates. Just off the dish. Bates gets the free pass. Yeah, but you look at the upcoming schedule for the Cardinal, John. Of course, you know, they're going to welcome the Hurricanes this weekend. Probably going to be a good series to pick up some wins and gain a little bit of ground in the ACC. Then you have the midweek against Santa Clara on Monday. Then, you know, you back it up with a weekend series against Florida State here at home. So, you know, these Stanford fans going to be treated to some pretty high-level baseball when you think about Stanford welcoming 2 blue bloods in college baseball.
From the Sunshine State.
Well, J.J. Moran, fly ball deep to left field, but at the track, making the catch is Lambert.
That ball, I thought had home run power off the bat, but maybe got a little bit too much off the end of the bat there. Just sort of died as it neared the warning track.
Yeah, it was a deep fly ball, probably the deepest ball in play hit tonight. You know, and actually, just come to think of it, it's only the second fly ball out that has been recorded by Santa Clara. The whole game, by the way. Here's Eric Gion.
I mean, that's a compliment to the Santa Clara pitchers.
Oh, absolutely.
Keeping the ball down.
Yeah, especially when they had like that high-scoring game against St. Mary's back on Sunday. This game is a far cry from the offensive output and even the pitching output. And Lazard making 2 moves to first to check on Bates. Bates out with a huge lead at first, but he does take off. Check swing at the plate, throw down to second, offline and late. So Charlie Bates gets in with a stolen base.
5th steal on the season for Charlie Bates in 7 attempts.
Now that gives Eric Gion an opportunity to try to get him in with 2 outs. As tonight, Stanford 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Hits it right back up the middle. All but backhanded at second by Walsh. And a nice pick there by Anderson to get the out. Wow, great play there up the middle. Santa Clara keeping it a 1-run game as we go to the 6th. Here at Sunken Diamond. You're tuned into college baseball here on a Wednesday night and on Jackie Robinson Day here on the ACC Network Extra. On to the 6th. Stanford holding on to that 1-0 lead. They had a chance, but it was a great play at second base by Waylon Walsh of Santa Clara to keep the Broncos close with the Cardinal. It's a new pitcher coming out for Stanford is going to be Brock Kettleson, the 2-way player, making his 10th appearance on the season. He comes in with a 6.64 ERA and 20 1/3 innings pitched. But he's one of those guys that can mix the stuff up, especially being a southpaw. So he's hoping to keep Stanford in front. Santa Clara was able to get a base runner in the last inning, but still have not recorded a hit on the ballgame. And as far as the work being produced by the Stanford bullpen in this one, David Esker has made sure to keep the relievers on their toes because they never know when that phone rings. They're going to have to get that glove and stay loose. Yeah, but even Rusty Filter having to go with the same strategy himself with how many arms he's brought out tonight. Camden Sauce will lead off. He's only had 1 at-bat recorded on the evening. I was on a 3-1 putout. Now first pitch from Kettleson. Fastball almost high and out of the zone. Swing and a miss by Sauce. Line score goes like this. Santa Clara, no runs, no hits, 1 error. Stanford, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error. It has been that kind of a game, folks. The old school pitching duel. Another swing and a miss by Sauce. Looked like he might have just barely got a piece of that one, but nonetheless, it's strike 2. One, two, bounces away. Brock Kettleson, freshman from Scotts Valley, little town in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Shallow fly ball to center field. Running in for it is McDonald. He'll make the play.
Kettleson, the issue is to keep the ball down. Again, a tall pitcher, two-way player for Stanford. Lanky, so you got to really extend that arm all the way through your motion.
Here's Raymond, looks at strike one. And Brock Kettleson, he's also another product of Valley Christian High School. Swung on and miss by Raymond for strike two. He actually earned the Mercury News All Bay Area Honors and Pitcher of the Year during his senior year. And he's going to hand Andrew Raymond the backwards K. He's caught looking for out number two.
Stanford continues to impress on the mound collectively.
And he was able to get him on three pitches, gave him the threes company. So back to the top with Peyton Lambert.
Fourth strikeout for Stanford among the four pitchers who have pitched tonight.
Showed bunt, pulled it back, but it's in for a strike. Fastball at 91 miles per hour. The 1-1. Fouled off at the plate by Lambert.
A lot of bite on that curveball, though. Very effective. To succeed in college, you can't just use the heater that so many high school pitchers who are physically gifted throw 90-ish, 90 plus. You've got to get another pitch over for a strike consistently.
1-2, missed high. Goes in 2-2. Brock Kettleson is the fourth pitcher to come in for Stanford on the evening. The game started with Torrin O'Haron going 2 innings. Sam Garwal pitched 1, and Colt Peterson pitched a clean 2 innings himself. Swung on and fouled. Yeah, but the 3 pitchers to come before Kettleson have maxed out at 2 innings. And all getting a strikeout. Fly ball to center, more like right center. Arranging over for it is McDonald to retire to side. 3 up, 3 down, go the Broncos. Stanford take it to the bottom of the 6th, still leading 1-0. So Rusty Filter makes another call to the bullpen for Santa Clara. As he's now on his 6th pitcher on the evening, and as that will be Sebastian Schreiber. Sebastian Schreiber, big redshirt senior from Salinas, California, 6'3", 230. Actually played some JUCO ball at Hartnell, which is a JUCO in Salinas, his hometown, and has even had a short stint at San Francisco, a fellow member of the West Coast Conference, before making the move over to Santa Clara. But he's coming in a tight spot with Santa Clara still trailing by a penny. But the pitching has been on point for the Broncos in this one, as Schreiber coming in with 4 1/3 innings of work on the season. Does have the ERA over 10, so that 4 1/3 innings pitch hasn't really done him any favors on the mound. But Stanford on their end, they're just trying to see if they can warm up the bats as the temperature begins to drop here in Stanford. It's going to be Court McDonald to lead off. He's reached base twice tonight. Came on a walk and an error by the third baseman. Fouls it right at the top of the net behind home plate. Breaking ball by Schreiber in for a strike. Check swing, but they say McDonald broke the plane. Gone with the strikeout.
Sixth strikeout from the collectively from the various pitchers, if my tallies are correct.
Tatum Marsh, who's walked and struck out on the game, will come up the third time. Takes the ball inside, and you know, for the Santa Clara pitching staff, those guys have maxed out at an inning and a third. Jack Lazark has pitched the most.
And that was the sixth strikeout. The Santa Clara, Philip, they've allowed 2 hits through 5 and a third. That's pretty creditable stuff against Stanford.
Marsh ground ball to Walsh, picks it up on the first, 2 gone. And you just think with what you can do from a coaching perspective in a midweek matchup, you know, having, you know, you're putting your bullpen to work, you know, it doesn't hurt, especially knowing, like, hey, it's one game.
It's a chance for guys to get confidence.
That's true.
And a bunch of guys already for Santa Clara have acquired that tonight.
And Nolan Stoll comes up to the plate, looks at ball 1, and you know, I was talking with Troy Clarity in the last game I did, how, you know, right now the pitching staff for Stanford, any position, doesn't matter where you are in the depth, is up for grabs. As Stoll sends it right back in the center field for a base hit. Only the 3rd hit tonight for the Card.
3rd hit for both teams combined. With that pitch, hit fairly deep, but the outfield with 2 outs was very deep, so it hit on the line, and maybe if it's a top first hitter of the inning, if that one's caught on a running catch, but the outfield deep, that liner got in there.
There's Broxell back to the plate. Oh, he lifts it to left center field. Trying to track it down is Raymond, making the catch on the run to end the inning. 2 hard hit balls, but Stanford only leave a man on and nothing doing in the bottom half of the 6th as we go to the 7th of the 3rd of the way home here at Sunken Diamond. 1-0 Stanford lead. Top of the 7th, Stanford still holding the 1-0 lead. Brock Kettleson coming out for another inning of work. Bit of a rarity to say that with how many arms we've seen tonight here at Sunken Diamond. But going to bring it back over to John Platts. It's Philip Hall on the call, but John will take us through the 7th and the 8th inning.
Yeah, back to Philip when we get to the 9th inning, but on this somewhat chilly, low 60s, right around 60 degrees, I think the temperature right now. Wednesday evening, it is Stanford 1, Santa Clara nothing to the top of the 7th inning. For Santa Clara, it'll be 2, 3, 4 in the order. And Ben Cleary, Max Ross, and Johnny Lutzo. And Cleary and Ross are the 2 best hitters in the Santa Clara order, so a challenge for young Brock Kettleson, the freshman from Scotts Valley. His first pitch is on the outside corner for a strike to Ben Cleary, who had fly to right and struck out in his prior 2 trips. Kettleson into the windup, and the pitch is low. Count even up at 1-1. Kettleson 6'4", left-hander. Ben Cleary hitting from the right side, the Santa Clara shortstop. 65 is average. And off-speed pitch is a beauty, over for a strike, and Kettleson ahead 1-2.
Bounce back after that last pitch, not reaching the plate, but able to get one across and chance to put Cleary away.
Kettleson from a full windup. Pitch on the way, 1-2. That one is lifted to right field. Going back is the right fielder Marsh. He's under it, right on the edge of the warning track, makes the catch. So Cleary gave it a ride, but it did get up in the air. So there was time for Tatum Marsh to get over there and make that catch. And that is out number 1 here in the top of the 7th inning. Bring Max Ross up to the plate. Ross, the designated hitter, bounced to short and fly to center in his 2 prior trips. Kettelson's pitch swung on and missed. That fastball was running inside and high, and it got above the arms of Ross. Swung through it. Kettleson working quickly. The 0-1 breaking ball bounced past the catcher and all the way to the plate. Count even up at 1-1.
The good mix in location. You know, you go high and in on the first pitch, and you go low and away on the second. You know, especially in a lefty-to-lefty matchup. You know, it always works in favor for the left-handed pitcher.
Kettleson's curveball just missed off the outside corner. Count of 2-1. These two likely have faced each other. Valley Christian playing St. Francis. Pitch from Kettleson, tipped low. And the count now 3-1. Stanford pitchers have not walked a hitter tonight. 3-1 pitch to Kettleson. That's a fastball, and it stayed up. And so the first free pass issued tonight by a Stanford pitcher goes to Max Ross. He's on first base with 1 out in this 1-0 game. Top of the 7th inning. 1 run, 3 hits for Stanford. No runs, no hits for Santa Clara. Cleanup hitter Johnny Lutzow is at the plate. He bounced to short and bounced to third his 2 prior trips to the plate. Hitting from the right side. Kettleson looks over to first. Curveball actually hits Lutzow. And so Santa Clara, first time tonight, gets a runner to second base. Santa Clara is a team that gets hit. They do more than the teams they play by a factor of roughly 2-1. So that is part and parcel of the strategy, station to station, ideally with contact and hits, but walks and hit batsmen, that'll get it accomplished now as Stanford now has a mound visit. Pitching coach Thomas Eager heading to the mound where the 4 infielders and the catcher are assembled along with the pitcher Brock Kettleson.
And Thomas Eager going out to the mound, and they help us in the question on who's been calling the shots tonight when it comes to the decisions on who to bring out. I mean, Thomas Eager, of course, being the assistant to David Esker, being like, hey, I think these guys are good to go. Let's see what they can do against a team that's been hitting struggling.
Stanford has a reliever warming up. Actually, it's just really long toss right now. We don't have our binoculars, so we can't see. It is a left-hander in the Stanford pen, and Eager is done with his visit to Kettleson. So it's an opportunity for a freshman to work out of trouble in a game that has meaning. It's Stanford versus Santa Clara, local rivals, but it's a 1-0 game. Latter innings of the game, Stanford has some scoreboard history working. More on that as we get closer to the end, if relevant.
Yeah, Will Anderson, definitely a guy that can put something together here. And I think I even heard his mom cheer him on, Gina Anderson. Cool lady.
Anderson 0 for 2, bounced to second and bounced to short earlier in the game. He bounces one up the middle. It is backhanded by Bates. Jump throw is in time. Beautiful play by Charlie Bates, who was stationed behind second base. He had to range to his left, backhanded, and then a jump throw to first. Retires Anderson. Both runners advance for Santa Clara on the play. Ross to third, Lutzo to second, and that'll bring up the number 6 hitter in the order, Luke Devine. Devine is struck out and was aboard in the 5th inning on an error by Bates.
You talk about trying to break out the shift on a play there. How about Charlie Bates trying to cut across the middle, trying to prevent those Santa Clara base runners from trying to score.
There's a huge shift on for Luke Devine, the second baseman. Gian right behind second base. First pitch from Kettleson missed low and away. Count of 1-0. Devine 244 average on the season as he stands at the plate. 16 RBIs for this sophomore from Los Altos Hills and St. Francis High School. He wraps one to left field, base hit. First hit of the game for Santa Clara. 1 run scores, and a second run will score without a throw. And just like that, Luke Devine breaks up the collective no-hitter by Stanford and puts the Broncos in the lead 2-1.
As the hardest hit ball tonight by Santa Clara, Luke Devine able to drive in two to give the Broncos the lead, and he records RBIs number 17 and 18 on that hard hit ball. But it really just took one for Santa Clara to start to make some noise here.
Waylon Walsh will come to the plate, who was a teammate of Kettleson. As the runner goes, throw down to second base, pitch taken. It is not in time as Devine swipes second base. For Luke Devine, his 3rd stolen base of the season. And the Broncos, Philip, you talked about it pregame show, station to station, contact, make something happen on the base pass, and that Santa Clara is doing here in the 7th. And now Thomas Eager with his second mound visit, and that means we're going to have a change on the mound for Stanford. So the Valley Christian versus Valley Christian matchup will cease, although Walsh will stay at the plate as Stanford is going to bring in another arm. This will be for Stanford pitcher number 5. Let's see who it may be. Speculating. Could it be Mike Erspamer?
Looks like it is going to be Erspamer, freshman lefty, so he will be making his way down the line.
Stanford has also Andrew Shaw, another freshman, but so it is Mike Erspamer, freshman left-hander from San Clemente, California, and San Clemente High School. Erspamer, this is his 14th appearance of the season, all in relief. His record is 0-2 on the season. 8.36 his earned run average. He's worked 14 innings, has walked 16, struck out 17, has surrendered 13 hits and 13 earned runs. So Erspamer got off to a strong start, saved one of the early games this season for Stanford back in February, but it's been a bit of a rocky road, as it can be for freshmen. Erspamer, a left-hander, and he will inherit a 1-0 count to the batter, Waylon Walsh.
Well, John, the game has now changed for Stanford when it comes to pitching. Like now, you're pitching with a deficit, being up for so long and not allowing a hit for the majority of the game. But, this being, what you could say, the 3rd time through the order for Santa Clara, there's some guys that are just hungry to break out of their offers and try to, pad on to this newfound lead.
We talked about the rivalry. You did, Philip, and Santa Clara 13-21 coming into the game. The overall record just 3-9 in the WCC. They lost Mark Marquis early in the season, or preseason actually, as Stanford lost the Hall of Fame college baseball coach and assistant at Santa Clara in his retirement year this year. But for Santa Clara to beat Stanford with the local connections among the players, that's something to The guy's juiced up in that dugout. So Walsh at the plate, left-handed hitter, 1-0 the count. Runner at second base is Luke Devine. First baseman's pitch, breaking ball, hung and nearly hit Walsh. So the count now 2-0.
Good news is you have 2 outs. The bad news is, you got to work to get out of it with Santa Clara now starting to see the ball.
First baseman's pitch, breaking ball, and a beauty. A lot of arc to that one. A lot of snap, I should say, to that one. The count now 2-1. Still, Waylon Walsh ahead in the count. Stanford infield, regular depth at all positions. There's Bomber from the stretch. Breaking ball and another good snapping breaker. Swung on and missed by Walsh, and the count now 2-2.
A solid pitch by Ersbomber. I love when he uses that breaking pitch to his advantage. Even if he's behind the count, deciding to take no risk.
Ersbomber looks back at second base. And the 2-2 pitch on the way. Another curveball, just getting a piece of it, is Walsh, and will stay alive 2-2. The great Stanford pitchers through the years, the great relievers, have been able to not only get the breaking ball over for a strike, but they don't have a lot of hump in it. Usually it's a slider or a sharp breaking curveball, and Ersbomber trying to join that list. His 2-2 pitch now, fastball on the outside corner, strike 3 called. So after throwing a series of breaking balls, Ersbomber changes things up with a heater, paints the black, and the Broncos retired in the top of in the 7th inning, but not before they take the lead, does Santa Clara. 2 runs on just 1 hit. The only hit thus far for Santa Clara in the game is a big one. There were no Stanford errors, and 1 Santa Clara runner left on base through 6.5 stretch time in Sunken Diamond. Work to do for Stanford. The score through 6.5, Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. You're listening to the ACC Network Extra. Bottom of the 7th inning at Stanford University. Midweek game for the Cardinal, taking on their Peninsula/South Bay rival, Santa Clara. It is Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning for Stanford. Top of the order, Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates for the Cardinal. 2 runs, 1 hit, 1 error for Santa Clara. 1 run, 3 hits, and an error for the Cardinal in this low hit game. Sasaki 0 for 3. Grounded out, popped out, and called out on strikes his last time up. He bounces one to the third baseman against the shift. The throw across the diamond is in time. Fine play by Camden Sauce, the third baseman, the only Santa Clara Bronco on the left side of the infield, and he had to charge that one, but does so, and able to retire Sasaki on the first pitch of this 7th inning.
And Sasaki booked it out of the box there. Ran so fast his shin guard came off. But, Sauce able to make a nice play, even with the shift on, and, it always going to beat Rentaro.
Fastball from Vincent Braga, the new pitcher for Santa Clara, right-hander sophomore from Palo Alto High School. He throws across the body, and his first pitch to Teddy Tokheim is a ball, but that 1-0 pitch tailed inside and was over, or swung on a miss, I should say, for a strike. 1-1 the count.
Braga with that crossbody delivery, when he was able to develop and perfect at the high school just across the street.
Yeah, this for the ball on the most recent pitch. Braga, who gets a lot of relief work for Santa Clara. This is one of their veterans. He's in there because Santa Clara wants a W, and that pitch is on the outside corner with a fastball, count of 2-2. Braga this season 12 innings worked, ERA of 4.38, and that pitch is over for strike 3 call. He gets a very tough hitter in Teddy Tokheim and retires him. The 4th time in this game that Tokheim has been retired. Of course, Tokheim came into the game hitting .430, and the 2nd time he is down on strikes. Now bring to the plate a pair of high school classmates, Palo Alto High School class of 2024, Vincent Braga, the pitcher, Charlie Bates, the shortstop for Stanford. First time facing each other in college, I believe. First pitch is over for a strike from Braga to Bates. Bates on the evening is 1 for 2. Grounded the first, singled, and walked. 1-0 pitch from Braga, tailed away, and the count even up at 1-1. Stanford just with 7 remaining outs in this game. 2-1 the Cardinal trail, bottom of the 7th inning, nobody on, 2 outs. Charlie Bates hitting from the left side. Pitch is lashed foul and out of play into the trees over near the Stanford batting cage along the left side. Count of 1-2.
Now the battle of Palo Alto comes down to this one. You know, Charlie Bates have to change the approach with 2 strikes on him, him being the time run.
Braga from the stretch with nobody on. He's used to pitching in relief. Crossbody pitch, swung on and missed. And he bellows some enthusiasm. You don't think this game means something to Santa Clara? I mean, yeah, Braga just retired his high school classmate, his decorated high school classmate, but Santa Clara goes now to the top of the 8th inning, nursing, maintaining, and hoping to win with a lead. They lead 2-1 as we will go to the top of the 8th inning. The score, Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. Come back on the ACC Network Extra after this break. Top of the 8th inning at Stanford. Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. John Platz along with Philip Hall on this Jackie Robinson Day in the world of baseball. Philip had many nuggets of information on the late Hall of Famer who was gone too soon at age 53 in 1972.
It was still a cherished legacy. His widow, Rachel Robinson, at 103 years old and still looks amazing.
She does. A life well lived and continuing. Cameron Sauce to lead it off for Santa Clara. 8-9-1 for the Broncos here on the top of the 8th inning. Sauce 0 for 2. Chris Spamer back out there for his second batter. He tosses over a breaking ball for a strike.
And you know, the legacy is continued on by Mrs. Robinson through the Jackie Robinson Foundation, which is designed to help high school kids get scholarships for college. And even, you know, for UCLA, who played there midweek yesterday against UC Santa Barbara, Io Robinson, the granddaughter of Jackie Robinson, threw out the opening pitch and did the same tonight at Dodger Stadium in the Dodgers-Mets matchup.
2-1 pitch from Earthbomber, breaking ball missed, count of 3-1. Jackie Robinson met his wife at UCLA. College sweethearts and married for the better part of 30 years. Pitch is popped up and way up in the air on the infield. See who calls for it. It's going to be the third baseman who drops it. Moran throw to second base. Do they get him at second? They do not, as the throw is dropped. And Philip, that was an extraordinarily high pop-up. Earthspammer got out of the way. Usually you see the second baseman or shortstop as the third baseman, Moran, had to angle to his left. The ball was going to land between the pitching mound and second base and just mistimed it.
Yeah, it's a tough break there for Stanford. Moran, you know, not getting the read he wanted with how high it was. It was like a moon scraper. You know, when the infield gathers like that, you know, that's where communication really becomes key.
I've never heard that phrase, and I love it. Moon scraper. I'll bring the number 9 hitter, Andrew Raymond, to the plate. He squares. Did he offer at it? He did not. He was almost tardy bringing that bat back. He offered at it as if to bunt. Pitch was outside with a breaking ball. Count of 1-0. So Santa Clara with a chance to extend its 2-1 lead here. Nobody out here on the top of the 8th inning. Runner at second base on the 2-base error. Pitch is a fastball bunted, but it goes foul over toward the fungo circle along the left side. Count even up at 1-1.
And if you're at a Stanford infield, when it's this late in the game and with the score the way it is, you have to make life easier for your pitcher. Because, you know, Mike Earthspammer, with how intense he is out on the mound, he wants to rely on his infield to make those kind of plays.
Yeah, that's where a pitcher has to dig deep. Realize, okay, I may have to get 4 outs this inning. The batter, for the moment, has taken time and is talking to one of the Santa Clara assistant coaches. The batter, of course, is Andrew Raymond, a sophomore from Spokane, Washington, where one of the WCC teams, at least for a couple more months, is situated. That's Gonzaga University. They're going to be joining the new Pac-12, beginning next fall. 1-1 the count now. Erspamer on top, getting ready to face the left-hander. He turns around and looks as if to throw to second base, stepped off the rubber, but doesn't throw to Bates, who just made sort of a token jog over to second base. Erspamer set again, squaring as the batter. Pitches a fastball, missed off the outside corner. Had some tail on it, but not enough tail to catch that outside corner with the left hand hitting Raymond. The count is 2-1. Infield is in at the corners. Bates trying to bird dog the runner at second. The pitch is bunted foul behind the catcher, and so Raymond unsuccessful at 2 attempts to bunt the baseball, and so he's not likely to be bunting here 2-2. Of course, in baseball, if you bunt with 2 strikes and it's foul, you're out. One of the wonderful nuances of the game of baseball, that the infield fly rule, and the ABS system now, as technology has made baseball evolve.
Don't forget the pitch clock.
Pitch clock, thank you very much, Philip Hall. Pitch, and that is a curveball over for a strike 3. The batter, Raymond, pulled the bat back, but the pitch broke over for a plate, so ring up a strikeout, I should say, for Erspamer. And now 1 out in the top of the 8th inning. Runner still at second base, and we're back to the top of the order. And Peyton Lambert for Santa Clara, who is 0 for 3, pair of groundouts to third and a fly out his last time up to center. Broncos 2, Cardinal 1, top of 8. Erspamer's pitch is over for a strike. No, where was that pitch? Must have dipped inside, and the count 1-0 to Peyton Lambert.
Yeah, it's a little bit off there, and I think even Nolan Stoll was trying to frame it, but Jason Vincent not giving him.
Didn't bite.
Yeah.
The 1-0 pitch is laced foul into the trees along behind the right field seats, behind the Stanford dugout. Count even up at 1-1. 65th all-time meeting between the Broncos and the Cardinals. Stanford has won 44 of the prior 64. As Philip mentioned, these teams will play next week down at Santa Clara. 1-1 pitch from Erspamer. Breaking ball and a beauty, over for strike 2. Pitch froze Lambert.
And round 2 between these two squads going to be at Stephen Schott Stadium, another historic figure in this program, as Stephen Schott was the former owner of the Oakland A's during the Moneyball era.
Oh, Ken Schott, fastball swung on and missed, and a nice bit of pitching there by Erspamer as he retires the second out, or gets the second out of this top of the 8th inning. That was a tailing fastball that was up in the zone, and the hitter Lambert was not expecting it. So 2 out now. Raymond, or Sauce, I should say, the runner still at second base, and the best hitter by average on the Santa Clara team is at the plate. That's Ben Cleary. He's drawn a caller thus far, 0 for 3 with a strikeout, including a strikeout. Erspamer's pitch, curveball, over for a strike. Erspamer's got a lot of snap on that pitch. Can't really call it a slider because it doesn't really bite low and move horizontally that much, but it's a nice snapping breaking ball. The fastball now is over for a strike as Erspamer nicely mixing up the fastball and the curve, and he's got Ben Cleary in a hole, 0-2. trying to get out of the top of the 8th inning, still with just a 1-run deficit. Runner at second base for Santa Clara. Palmer's pitch from the stretch. Check swing. Didn't look like he went. There'll be an appeal, but that you could tell from here that was not a swing.
Yeah, Clara able to hold up there, and I'm sure that would have been the pitch Earthspammer would have loved to get. And this is going to be a big out, just knowing how good of a hitter Ben Cleary is when it comes to him hitting for an high average, just putting the ball in play.
Cleary hitting from the right side. Another great infield from the West Catholic Athletic League as he swings and misses, went down to one knee, as there was exceptional bite on that breaking ball from Earthspammer, as he has a terrific 8th inning. He does in fact get 4 outs. The 2-base pop-up error on the infield does not hurt, as Earthspammer comes back and strikes out, count them, 3 Santa Clara Broncos. No runs, no hits, 1 Stanford error, 1 Santa Clara runner left on base through 7.5. It's Sunken Diamond, a good one here, a tight one. Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning after this break. You're listening to the ACC Network Extra. Bottom of the 8th inning, it's Sunken Diamond, beautiful Sunken Diamond on the campus of Stanford University. A tight one here, Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. 2 runs, 1 hit, just 1 hit. It was a 2-run single for Santa Clara in the prior inning, the top of the 7th. For Stanford, 1 run, 3 hits. Each side has committed errors. Santa Clara 1, Stanford 2. Neither has figured in the scoring. For Stanford, 4, 5, 6 in the order. J.J. Moran, Eric Gion, and Court McDonald to face Trevor Banning, freshman right-hand pitcher. Yes, indeed, my eyes do not deceive me. Out of Santa Margarita Catholic High School in San Juan Capistrano, that's Southern Orange County. And ready to face Moran. Fastball swung on and missed. Some good velocity on that pitch from Trevor Banning, who has worked 10 2/3 inning this season, has a earned run average of 0.84. So this is no joke. Santa Clara not just getting guys work. They're trying to get the win. Fastball with an over-the-top delivery stayed inside from Banning. Count even up at 1-1 to J.J. Moran, who is 0 for 2 with a walk in the game. He has scored the only Stanford run, scored on a ground out after he walked. He fouls one over the press box and out of play, and the count moves to 1-2.
Yeah, Banning has been close to flawless this year, and this now being his 9th appearance on the season. But not somebody that's really going to blow you away, but he does have almost an even strikeout to walk ratio, 9 Ks, but 8 walks allowed.
Throws straight over the top. 1-2 pitch on the way. Curveball missed outside. The count goes even, 2-2. J.J. Moran, 288 the average as he stands at the plate. 6 home runs, 27 RBIs for the sophomore. Banning into the windup. Over the top pitch. Curveball tipped but stayed in the glove of the catcher, Lutzo, and that is a big first out for Santa Clara in this bottom of the 8th inning.
And J.J. Moran, Stanford fans are hoping he would use the clutch gene like he did on Sunday at Louisville, but, this isn't really the kind of spot where you want to play hero ball, try to swing for the fence to tie it up. It's just more about trying to get some traffic on, just knowing that's been the vibe of the game.
It's the 9th strikeout recorded by Santa Clara pitchers and the 3rd consecutive one over the last 2 innings combined. Eric Gion, the hitter. Banning's pitch is low to Gion, number 5 hitter in the Stanford order, who is 1 for 3 on the evening. Struck out in the 2nd, singled, and was stranded in the 4th, and bounced to 2nd in the 5th inning. Gion hitting from the right side. The transfer from Columbia University, the Ivy League. Banning's pitch. Breaking balls dip low, and the count now 2-0. Stanford trying to get a runner on base any way it can. Gion on the season has walked 15 times. and has been hit 3 times. He's got a good eye. Takes a fastball up and inside, and he has worked the count to 3-0. So he's one ball away from accomplishing an objective for himself and the Stanford team.
There's Corey McDonald waiting on deck. The guy with a couple of home runs so far on the year.
3-0 pitch. Gian taking all the way. It's over for a strike. Count of 3-1 now.
David Esker trying to stay warm there. He's got the big puffer jacket on, the windbreaker.
Yep. On this chilly April evening, and that 3-1 pitch stayed inside, and indeed Eric Gian works the walk, so Stanford does have the tying run aboard here in the bottom of the 8th inning with 1 out, and that will bring to the plate the aforementioned Court McDonald, who has played well in the series at Louisville this past Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He was 5 for 11 with a couple of runs scored and a couple of RBIs. Not played in all the games this year, but has earned himself some starting duties. This is his 15th start and 23rd game for Stanford. And this is the 33rd Stanford game. Pitch from Banning is over for a strike. Some velocity on that one. 0-1. McDonald officially 0 for 1, walked in the 2nd, sacrificed, and was aboard on an error in the 4th and struck out in the 6th. Left-handed hitter, upperclassman for Stanford. Fastball from Banning, missed off the outside corner. Count 1-1. Court McDonald from Arlington, Texas. Senior. Batting from the stretch, his pitch is lifted foul and out of play over the Santa Clara dugout and over the stands and into the trees along the left side. Count 1-2, so Trevor Banning is ahead.
It's not overpowering with the fastball. It stays relatively flat when it goes, well, actually when it leaves the mound.
Seems to have some cut on that fastball. 1-2 pitch is lifted foul, and it'll bounce just behind the Santa Clara dugout, and that was a front foot swing. Banning had McDonald off balance on that pitch, but credit the Stanford outfielder, left-handed hitter, with having enough balance to knock that one foul. Count remains 1-2. Banning from the stretch, looks over at first base. Now a blooper over shortstop, but it will hang up for the left fielder, Lambert, and he makes the catch for out number 2. Looked off the bat like it might be a bloop single over short, but had a little too much carry and a little too much loft.
Yeah, it was the breaking ball that was hung up high in the zone, and McDonald, him being so used to seeing that cut fastball, might not have expected that. So it was just solid deception on Banning's end, be able to put it in the air.
That brings us to the number 7 hitter, Tatum Marsh, the Stanford right fielder. He is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. It's from Trevor Banning. It bounces in front of home plate. Nice block by the catcher, Lutzo. Count of 1-0. Santa Clara outfield is appropriately deep. They want to not allow a ball to get past them and allow that runner at first to come all the way around to score. At the corners, the Stanford infield protecting the line. Pitch is a minor check swing, and the pitch was high, so the count 2-0 from Banning to Tatum Marsh. The walk is good for Stanford, gets a runner to second base in scoring position. 2-0 pitch from Banning, that was low. Straight over the top fastball. No cut on that pitch, but it stayed low. That's what Santa Clara pitchers have been doing all night, keeping that ball down. 3-0 the count, and I would expect Tatum Marsh to be taking all the way here. 3-0. We'll see. 3-0 pitch on the way. Fastball was inside, and Stanford does work its second walk of the inning. Marsh goes to first, and Eric Gian advances to second. So 2 on with 2 out now for Stanford. Tying run is at second base.
And how about a spot for the freshman Nolan Stoll, a chance to try to poke one out, get that game tying hit, and the balls in play haven't been hit too hard by this Stanford lineup. Still, he's hit the last hard hit ball in the handful of innings.
And with that, Rusty Filter now will walk out to the mound, the Santa Clara manager. Again, this is a game Santa Clara is attaching a lot of meaning to.
I was going to say, too, John, so far in the season, Santa Clara have hung tough against ACC opponents. You go all the way back to opening day when they were able to run Royal Cal 13-2 in Berkeley. Unfortunately, they dropped that series.
But a couple one-run losses.
Yeah, one-run losses. So it was still tight ball games that they've been playing. But they backed it up with a midweek win against Cal on their home turf at Stephen Schott Stadium, and then when Pitt came out here to for their West Coast swing, they were able to get the win 4-3 against them. Another one-run battle, and you followed up with a tight game against Clemson, dropping it 4-6, but still a close game. So Santa Clara have had their way relatively against ACC opponents, as we've seen.
Now, Santa Clara, again, has closers to work with. We're not going to see one of their primary ones here. We're going to see Josh Johnson, but he's one of the premier ERA guys for Santa Clara. Josh Johnson, the new pitcher for Santa Clara. Santa Clara 4 outs away from a victory here, but they're in a jam, is Santa Clara, with runners at first and second for Stanford, 2 outs. Josh Johnson is a grad student, 6'2", 205-pounder, right-hander from Henderson, Nevada, and he's had a terrific year for Santa Clara. He has a 1.10 ERA, a right-hander. He's worked 16 and a third innings, just 4 walks and 22 strikeouts, and an ERA, as we mentioned, of 1.10, less than 1 hit allowed per inning, just 12 hits allowed in 16 and a third innings on the season. Attended College of Southern Nevada earlier in his collegiate career. But Rusty Filter, not messing around, goes to his second pitcher of this inning, and the 8th Santa Clara pitcher tonight, Josh Johnson. And Santa Clara has its 2 saves guys still available. That's Hunter Hargett and R.J. Mine. So we may be hearing those names called later on. But as it stands right now, Johnson getting loose. He's going to be facing scheduled hitter Nolan Stoll for Stanford. And David Esker, I like the fact, Philip, that David Esker is not pinch hitting. This is a midweek game using your backup catcher, and I'm going with you, young man. I'm not going to take the bat out of your hands. This is going to chance for some experience, and this is an experience situation.
Absolutely. Nolan Stoll, he only usually comes in, to relieve for Luke Lavin late in games, but for him to get some ABs against Santa Clara pitching staff that has been on their game tonight, but now he can really show, the growth in playing at the college game right here in this at bat.
So right-hander against right-hander. Nolan Stoll, the Stanford freshman catcher, who is 1 for 2 with a single in the game, also has the lone RBI for Stanford in the game. Curveball from Johnson over for a strike. Good pitch. Had Stoll frozen for the moment. Of course, Nolan Stoll has never seen Josh Johnson. Johnson pitched from the stretch. Backward look at second base. The 0-1 pitch, curveball, check swing. It's over for a strike nonetheless, and the count quickly 0-2 to this low walk and good stuff reliever, Josh Johnson for Santa Clara. He's got Nolan Stoll in a whole 0-2. Johnson's 0-2 pitch, curveball bounces. Nice save by the catcher, Bledsoe. The count 1-2. Eric Gion at second for Stanford. First base is Tatum Marsh. Hitter Nolan Stoll. Pitch on the way. Fastball just off the outside corner. And the count 2-2.
I think for Josh Johnson, that pitch was a head scratcher when it came to where he located it, but you know, he's keeping Stoll off balance for what he's thrown.
Johnson working quickly, has the confidence of a grad student. He's at the belt. Pitch on the way. Breaking ball missed. Down in the way. Wanted the outside corner with that breaker. It didn't get it. Count now is full. Nolan Stoll. That will allow the runners at first and second to be off on the pitch. Be an advantage on a base hit. Johnson at the belt. And the 3-2 pitch. Curveball is low, and Stoll works a walk. The third walk of the inning. And so the bases are loaded now.
It's great composure there for Stoll at the plate. You know, not getting too excited, not trying to be a hero. You know, able to work the count and, you know, outbeat the grad student. You talk about letting your experience grow as a freshman.
So Brock Sell, the number 9 hitter at the plate, who has had a challenging freshman season at the plate. Chance now to redeem himself a bit. Curveball over for a strike from Josh Johnson. The count 0-1. Sell, playing left field tonight, is 0 for 2 with a walk. Flied out his last time up to center field. Johnson pitches. Curveball missed on the backdoor curveball effort. Count even up at 1-1.
You know, Brock Sell, you know, same situation, but bases loaded, so you got the tying run 90 feet away. You just got hit hard somewhere.
Johnson 7 for 39 this season, under 200. Fastball with a cutter, I should say. That caught the corner. It looked to be inside from here, but Johnson, the pitcher, gets the call from Jason Venzon. So the count 1-2. Johnson at the belt. The 1-2 pitch to the freshman Brock Sell. Fastball tailed away outside. Was outside by a good 9 inches. And the count 2-2. Bases full of Stanford Cardinal runners. 2-1 Santa Clara leads. Bottom of the 8th inning. 2 outs. Josh Johnson, the reliever for Santa Clara. Curveball swung on and missed, strike 3. And again, a breaking ball sets down a Stanford hitter and ends a Stanford inning. For Stanford in the bottom of the 8th inning. No runs, no hits. There were no Santa Clara errors and 3 left on base. Stanford has left 11 on base tonight. We go to the 9th inning in a tight one. In a battle of longtime Bay Area rivals, it is Santa Clara 2 and Stanford 1. This is the ACC Network Extra. To the 9th inning, it's Sunken Diamond. Santa Clara 2, Stanford 1. Stanford with his midweek tilt against Santa Clara, and then welcomes Miami back to ACC play here at Sunken Diamond this weekend. Philip Hall and I, yours truly, will have the game on Friday night here on ACC Network Extra. Stanford has played Miami 8 prior times, and I've done 4 of the games, actually. 3 of them in the 1988 season. That was a national championship College World Series for Stanford, and so I'm looking forward to working with Philip for that Friday game. In any event, I'll also work the Sunday game. And without further ado, to the 9th inning of this exciting game, non-conference style, we go back to my broadcast partner, Philip Hall.
All right, thank you, John. As it has been a fun one here on the farm on Jackie Robinson Day as we made it to the 9th inning, but Stanford, you know, still trying to see if they can pull it out, but so is Santa Clara. There's going to be Cassius Thomas coming out of the bullpen to see if he can help Stanford keep it to a 1-run game to the bottom of the 9th. Thomas has been pretty decent so far this year coming out the pen. Comes in with a 3 ERA. And this being his 16th appearance in 15 innings of work on the season. He's going to see Max Ross, who will lead off for the Broncos. Santa Clara in position to snap a 7-game losing streak Ross setting the tone here in the ninth with the base hit to center field.
First pitch swinging. He got a fastball and just took it back up the middle. And so we'll see if Santa Clara goes little ball here. And we've seen multiple bunt attempts, so I don't see why Rusty Filter, the Santa Clara manager, would not opt to go for the bunt here, even with the cleanup hitter at the plate.
Yeah, Johnny Lutzo shows bunt but pulls back on the pitch ball. Stanford do set up for the double play here. One-0 from Thomas. Bunted down the first baseline. Only plays the first. They get the out.
That was a beautiful bunt by the catcher, Johnny Lutzo. Philip, it was bunted up the first base line. It was no more than a foot fair, but it didn't veer one way or the other, and it was about medium depth between first and home, and that required the pitcher, Cassius Thomas, to go a long way, about the maximum amount of distance you could go to go field a bunt play, but a nice play by Thomas to get him by a step.
I was going to see Will Anderson, who's 0 for 3 on the evening. First pitch runs inside. Anderson had to get out of the way.
And I wonder if somebody missed a sign, because the batter, Anderson, is now meeting with the on-deck hitter, both base runners, and the first base coach. So I just wonder if somebody didn't get a memo of some sort, to use a cliche.
Yeah, maybe so. I wouldn't imagine that Santa Clara would be too aggressive, still this being a one-run game. You know, Max Ross, now him being the insurance at second base, you know, could try to be a little bit aggressive here. Will Anderson, he's been a bit of a struggle, but knowing the history on Anderson, he's a JUCO transfer from Ohlone College, where he actually won the NorCal batting title a year ago. And one of the top JUCO players, not only in California, but in the nation, both offensively and defensively.
Out of Christopher High and Gilroy.
Is RBI number 20 waiting at second base, and Max Ross. The 1-1. Lifted to left field. But it's going to hang up and playable for Brock Sell. There's 2 gone. So here comes Luke Devine. You talk about, you know, someone that has spoiled the pitching performance by the Stanford pitching staff tonight. Last time up, he delivered with the go-ahead 2 RBI single in the top of the 7th to give Santa Clara the lead.
The only Santa Clara batters with hits in the game are the player at the plate, Devine, and the runner at second base, who singled in this inning.
That's right. Luke Devine, the spoiler of the possible no-hitter that Stanford had going. And it was Brock Kettleson that was on the mound when Devine broke up the no-hitter and the shutout. A 1-0. Fly ball deep down the right field line. It's going to go out play into the Stanford bullpen. For Stanford in the bottom of the ninth, it'll be Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates due up. 1, 2, 3 for the Cardinal. Slow roller over to third. Moran charges it. Throw on the first. In time. Gets the vine to end the inning.
See if there's a replay on this one.
Yeah, bang bang play at the bag. Stanford have left the field. It doesn't look like it, so we are going to be headed to the bottom of the ninth, folks. Stanford will have a chance to tie or to win it. Again, it's Sasaki, Tokheim, and Bates due up for Stanford. So it'll be 1, 2, and 3 due up for Stanford here in the bottom of the ninth at Sunken Diamond. Santa Clara trying to snap their 7-game losing streak as they are going to go to RJ Mine, who will be coming on in what will be a save situation. On the season, Mine is second on the team in saves with 3 and 25 in a third innings of work with a 5.33 ERA. This is his 15th appearance in 2026. The lefty coming up in a big spot where he's got the meat of the Stanford order due up. And if you talk about the danger that he's going into, you know, it's Ritaro Sasaki, a known power hitter for Stanford. Teddy Tokheim, who's still trying to get that hitting streak up to 16. And Charlie Bates, who can drive the ball in certain situations. RJ Mine has his hands full, John. Mine, the sophomore from San Ramon, will see the big slugger from Japan, who is 0 for 4 on the game. First pitch from Mine. Just missed outside. Sasaki with 10 home runs on the season. Big swing, but caught nothing but the air for strike 1.
The delivery a little bit deceptive. It's a quarter turn by Mine. A little bit tough for a lefty to pick up the baseball.
1-1's bounced in the dirt, and it goes to the backstop. And a bit of a rare sighting here, John, probably as rare as Bigfoot. The Santa Clara infield is not playing the shift on Sasaki.
Interesting. That's a switch.
Sasaki, deep drive down the right field line, but foul.
It turned on it too much. But oh man, did he have home run depth on that one. You know, the fastball from Mine tails to it comes into an inside hitter, and so that's a bit of a groove look.
And that pitch was 109 miles per hour off the bat,
Ooh, boy.
just to show you how hard it was hit. Mine with the 2-2. Missed away again. Now it goes full.
By a lot. I think Mine was thinking about the sound of that and the distance of that long foul a moment ago. He threw that one 2 feet outside.
So it's a big duel coming up here between Mine and Sasaki at California versus Japan. They say that Sasaki broke the plane. He went around for strike 3.
That's a big pitch on 3-2. That's that long foul with home run depth bound to impact a pitcher unless the pitcher is of a mind to just next pitch it. And it looks like Mine, RJ Mine, the pitcher, has a mind like that.
Yeah, so sophomore on sophomore crime there by RJ Mine for the first out. Teddy Tokheim doesn't waste time, fouls off the first pitch.
He had a good swing on that one, just missed it, just a little bit under it.
Yeah, fastball reaches the high 80s for RJ Mine. Teddy Tokheim, 15-game hitting streak on the line, trying to get to 16. Lays off. This is in the dirt, ball 1. Coming into tonight, Teddy Tokheim came in as the top hitter in the ACC and the second best hitter among freshmen across Division I baseball. Fly ball down the right field line, but it'll tail foul into the bullpen.
Tokheim's swings look really good. I mean, the thing that's noticeable, Philip, about this young man is how good the swing is. Compact, not a long swing. He's had a couple good hacks here on pitches.
1-2, this low and in. You know, you just see the experience just continues to grow game after game for Teddy Tokheim, being one of the top freshmen in college baseball.
Got 10 home runs.
The 2-2. Swing and a miss. R.J. Mine able to get Tokheim, and there's 2 away.
Breaking ball just broke at his feet. And what a money pitch from a veteran pitcher.
So it'll be up to Charlie Bates, the last hope for the Cardinal.
12 Stanford hitters have struck out tonight.
And if Bates were to reach, it would open the door for J.J. Moran, who's on deck. The first pitch. Bates swung on and missed at the breaking ball. Bates has singled tonight. One of the 3 hits that Stanford were able to get. Lays off on the second one. Mine trying to go for save number 4 on the season, the tied for the team lead with Hunter Hargett. The 1-1. Missed for ball 2 outside. Three and 1.
Stanford just looking for a base runner. Bates is doing his best to try and accomplish that.
The hitter's count in favor for Bates. The 3-1 pitch. And he gets it through in the right field for a single.
We fisted that one, Philip. That was in on the hands, but enough strength from Bates to have that ground ball not be slowly hit, but medium speed, and the second baseman was over toward up the middle, and that helped.
And look who's coming up, John. J.J. Moran, who, as everybody knows, on Sunday delivered the go-ahead 3-run home run to give Stanford the series win over Louisville. Now he has a chance to try to win it with one swing if he could get it out of Sunken Diamond. Oh, and a bit of a risky move on the pickoff by Mine, checking on Bates.
It's a fairly close play at first base, but no replay requested.
First pitch to Moran, foul ball. Moran has had a string of clutch hits all season long. You go back to the series against Pitt where he hit the go-ahead 2-run single in a win that in the opening game of that Pitt series. Then, you go back a couple of weeks against Clemson, getting that go-ahead single to beat Clemson. 0-1 now goes to 0-2.
Stanford has a postseason award every year called the Come Through Award. I would say that J.J. Moran is the leading contender for that, despite the great batting average from Teddy Tokheim. The big hits, as you talk about, the money hits have come from J.J. Moran. One reason he's hitting 4th in the order.
Stanford down for their last hope here. 0-2 the count. Mine looks in. Makes the move to first. Keeping Bates honest. Not a big lead there.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Bates were running. You don't want to risk the pickoff, and you've got Moran at the plate, your number 4 hitter. Why have the third out be on the bases?
Keeping them close. Mine looks back in. The 0-2. Misses away. Now goes to 1-2. Santa Clara playing Moran straight away. A 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball missed low. Count goes even. 2-2.
It's the challenge for the hitter. Mine has the ability to get that breaking ball over. Just 2 pitches, but the contrast is enough to fool a hitter, so the guessing game continues.
2-2 from Mine. Moran fly ball to right, and that one is going to be caught by Devine, and that'll do it. Santa Clara able to outlast the Cardinal to win 2-1. R.J. Mine getting his 4th save on the season in a game that was a pitcher's duel from the start to the end. But it only took one big swing from the man that ended the game with the fly ball out, Luke Devine, delivering with that 2 RBI single in the top of the 7th to get the Broncos a midweek win and snap them out of the 7-game losing streak.
Well, and a win that provides a lot of satisfaction, Philip, in a season in which Santa Clara has struggled to a now 14-21 record, and they still sit 3-9 in the WCC, but they play their big rival about 10 miles up the road on, or 15 miles up the road on El Camino, Highway 82, and in a game that had only 6 hits total in the game. Joy, we talked about Santa Clara getting the timely hit, getting guys on base, and they did just enough. 2 runs, 2 hits for Santa Clara. For Stanford, 1 run, 4 hits. Stanford left 12 runners on base.
Yeah, definitely not the night that Stanford was hoping to have, just knowing that they were, in position to possibly no-hit the Broncos, but Santa Clara just able to play that station-to-station baseball with an offense that was struggling all season. But, in a game like this, it just takes the one big hit to get things done, and that is exactly what the Broncos were able to get out of Luke Devine tonight.
Well, and the 2 takeaways in a game in which each team used more than a half dozen pitchers in a true bullpen game. A lot of young arms got confidence, I thought, for both teams, Philip. Not only Santa Clara, pitchers of whom we've lauded throughout the broadcast, but for Stanford too, guys like Ersbommer with some strikeout stuff. And again, collectively, Stanford allows just 2 hits and 2 runs. Most days and most nights, that wins you a baseball game. Not tonight against the Broncos.
Yeah, well, for Stanford, they're going to have to look ahead to their next series as they return to ACC play on Friday. Me and John will be on the call for that one, as they're going to be welcoming the U, the Miami Hurricanes, as it's going to be the U versus the Farm come Friday in a 3-game series in ACC play. And as mentioned for Santa Clara, they have a series coming up on the road at in Stockton against Pacific, so they'll be back to their West Coast Conference schedule. But the final line score for tonight, the Santa Clara Broncos getting the win, scoring 2 runs on just 2 hits, 1 error, leaving 4 men on, while Stanford lose on 1 run, 4 hits, and 2 errors, leaving 12 runners on. Sebastian Schreiber picks up the win. Brock Kettleson gets handed the loss for Stanford, and R.J. Mine ties for the team lead in saves with his 4th save in 2026. But that's going to wrap things up for us here from Sunken Diamond on this special day where we celebrated Jackie Robinson, April 15th.
Here.
Definitely a privilege to be on the call for you, to bring you coverage.
Likewise, and looking forward to doing another one. And you look at the number of hits in the game, 4 for Stanford, 2 for Santa Clara. That's 4-2-42.
42. Can't have it any better way. But we actually join us come Friday evening when Stanford take on Miami back in ACC play. Alongside John Platts, thank you again to the production staff on hand tonight. This is Philip Hall on the call saying so long and good night from the farm.